there is a rumor going around, potentially, that the NX could support VR.
Could support VR.
Could support VR.
Okay, I heard a few rumors about this.
You heard about
a few. I mean, I heard that Nintendo was potentially thinking about doing VR, and that they possibly delayed the NX, because they wanted to add VR and that kind of thing. I think it's a little preposterous, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, when you think about Nintendo, okay, Nintendo's definitely known for changing the game. They do things that for some reason nobody thought of before, and it's amazing and blah blah blah.
Nintendo's been toting that, saying that we've got something where we don't even want to discuss it right now because other people are going to try and fit it into their model.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, currently, Nintendo has been quoted to be searching for their blue ocean market. Of course, this is where you
what's a blue ocean?
A blue ocean, is basically looking for something else that no one else is working on. You're basically looking for the next big thing to where you're getting so far ahead of people to where there's not going to be any competition, is what they're looking for. Which is kind of what Nintendo had going with the original Wii.
Yeah.
When they had the motion controls and everything, everyone jumped it. Because it was like, whoa, it's cool.
That thing blew up.
It did.
Wii is one of the most successful consoles of all time.
Yes, and of course, I would say Nintendo may have been infatuated with that success.
Well, I mean, how could they not be? I mean, it was
massive.
It was
absolutely massive. And if anything, Nintendo is looking for this blue ocean market, and it's been suggested that maybe they're looking into VR.
Okay.
So,
do you think that they possibly found? Do you think they possibly found this blue ocean market? Do you think they know what they're doing? Do you think the NX is going to be this blue ocean thing?
Well, this is
I'm curious. I don't want to get too excited because Nintendo, I always got to temper my hype levels because they always come out and they do a good job, but they come out and they screw up a lot too. Right. So I'm a little bit nervous.
Well, here's the thing, Nintendo definitely is looking for their own little blue ocean, and they are talking as if they found it.
Oh boy.
Okay, they are talking as if they have found it.
They have been talking
with the
with
ideas that they don't want other people to implement their ideas into their consoles and stuff. They don't want to implement it into their model if they hear about it too early. Then they can adapt and grab it before Nintendo's even able to release the NX.
Yeah.
So they're being very careful with what they release, what patents, when they patent, stuff like that. Everything like that.
I mean, I gotta say I'm very impressed with Nintendo and how well they've kept this thing under wraps because I have no idea.
Right. Well, we have an interview. There was an interview with Reggie and Miyamoto commenting specifically on VR.
Okay. Good. I assume they probably, pretending that they don't know nothing about VR. I assume they at least have tried it out. The other competition.
Oh, you just listen.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Nintendo of America's Reggie Fils.
Where are you reading this from?
This is from digicapital.com.
Okay.
This is the source.
Okay.
Reggie says, we have knowledge of the technical space and where we've been experimenting with this for a long time. Okay. We believe that it is in order for this technology to move forward, you need to make it fun and you need to make it social. Quoting E3 at E3, they were maybe discussing there.
This year's? I assume.
Yes. Based on what I've seen to date, it's not fun and it's not social. It's just tech.
Oh.
Okay, so that's interesting comments coming out of Reggie.
I mean, he's definitely got a point. So far, most VR things are VR experiences.
Yes.
And really what they are, they're tech demonstrations of what VR is.
And they're certainly not multiplayer. Not many of them. How do you get a hold of multiple VR headsets? It's a single headset is for a single person at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, you can always work with the TV, but that might be... I don't know. I wonder if consoles could do that, where they can work with a TV and a headset. That might be intense on the console itself.
Oh, geez. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I mean, the PlayStation VR has the thing where...
I'm thinking... Think of it like the Wii U, okay? They have a top screen. They have a controller screen.
Yes.
Well, think of it like VR. VR has its own screen, and there's another TV there.
Yes. I mean, the person...
I'm not even sure if consoles can support that.
Currently, the PS4 is set up so that the headset gets the video, but the TV gets what you're seeing.
Really?
Yeah, so they said they're going to have it so it'll be more social so that people sitting by, can see what you're seeing on the TV.
Okay.
So you'll be looking around, it'll just display on the TV instead.
Ooh, that's going to be
fun. Yeah, it's very cool. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun at a party for sure.
Right. Okay, so to be fair, that is against what Reggie said. Reggie said it's
Okay.
not social.
Exactly.
He even quoted, "It's not fun," and he's saying it's just tech.
Yeah.
Okay,
Understandably, it really is so far, and
A whole lot of it is demo and experience to show off the technology and what you can get from
I think the world is currently learning with VR still.
it. Definitely, and
taking baby steps.
it's definitely a hands-on experience
Yes.
to really experience and know what VR is like.
Exactly.
My suggestion, I keep saying it, try Google Cardboard. It's like,
Yeah.
you get for like $5
if you
just
wanna
a cardboard
try-
thing, you know, you put
Just
it in
to
your phone.
try, just to experience VR, just to know what it is.
Yeah, if you've never put on a headset over your eyes and you're like, oh wow, this is cool, you can look around and stuff, I'd say just try Google Cardboard if you're interested.
Yeah, you just pop your phone in.
It's definitely cheaper than buying
It's
an
like-
Oculus Rift.
You can get it for $10 on sale
Yes.
somewhere.
You just throw your phone in there. Anyways, Miyamoto also comes to back up Reggie
Okay.
and his comments, stating, I noticed a number of dreamlike demonstrations for which the schedule and format for commercializations are unknown. So saying, it's like, oh wow, this is really cool, but how do you commercialize that? How do you
Yes.
make money off of that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. The current software for these virtual devices cannot be played simultaneously by a number of people, and since it is generally expected that the development for the application software for high-performance devices will take 2 to 3 years, there will be a number of visual demonstrations for virtual reality devices.
They're essentially saying that VR is not ready.
That's what
For
he's saying.
mass
He's like, typical development cycles are 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and this tech isn't even here yet.
Yeah.
Which means how long is it until we have all the games? Until we have the actual software to support this thing, and we keep having all these dreamlike simulation, fun experiences, but they're not really games yet.
Exactly.
So, more comments?
Quick comment there.
Yes.
It's very interesting to hear them coming out and talking about this. I mean, it does it speak towards the Nintendo mantra? You know, are they just like? Do they like they?
Hey, I actually
know
want
they're
to cite
kings of
this.
multiplayer. Go
I
ahead.
want to cite this. This is this is July 2015. This must have been last year's E3, but still comments on Nintendo.
Still, go ahead.
Which notably they had comments from Iwata.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Comments
Let's
from
hear his
Iwata.
comments.
Okay. Iwata said, let me see. He's saying, let me see. This is comments on the NX and Nintendo's strategy for the NX.
Yeah.
He said, the NX is a new platform, so the install base will have to be built up from zero. If I mention every detail of what we have, or what we are newly thinking, it could be persuasive for the NX.
Yeah.
But it could also give other companies the opportunity to come up with counter plans or implement ideas that they find interesting. And of course, this is basically they're suggesting this, that he may have been talking about VR and other things, and they don't want to discuss that yet.
Yeah.
So specifically, the bullet points listed here is that from Nintendo, they're saying that they don't believe it's really fun. They don't believe it's social. And of course, we're not going to have commercial viability for 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Okay. And here's the thing, okay? These are comments coming from some of the biggest people from Nintendo.
Yes.
And if they were actually implementing this would be incredibly counterproductive to not
Yes.
be supporting the idea of VR. You could say it's a diversion, but it's definitely not good when you have the top people at Nintendo saying it's not fun, it's not social, which Nintendo is all about the
Honestly,
multiplayer and everything.
Honestly, what I think, if anything, with Nintendo coming out saying those kind of opinions about VR in general, okay, if anything, it's probably just honesty. I mean, they might be defending their product. Maybe the NX doesn't support VR at all, you know, and they're just like, oh, you don't need it, blah blah blah. It's not all that good. Maybe that's the cynical viewpoint of it.
Right.
You know, you can look at it like that, okay. But at the same time, if you see an industry giant like that, okay, with years and years and years of experience, more than likely they're probably just calling out the hype on this thing.
Right.
You know, I mean, as cool as it is, it is an awesome piece of tech. But when you really do sit down and think about it, how much are you really going to get out of these virtual reality headsets currently? It's definitely an investment for the future.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that brings up all sorts of other worries. How long is it going to take to get full-blown games for these things? By the time full-blown games come out, is there going to be a new headset that's like, oh, yours is outdated?
Right.
Like the Oculus Dead Kit 1. Okay, completely. I think it's outdated, just straight up. It's losing support.
Man.
Especially with most games and that kind of thing. I mean, it'll probably get modded in, and that kind of thing.
Now, to be fair, there's quite a wild playing field for VR right now.
Yes.
There's currently almost nothing has anything tied down to any base,
Which is good.
Well, that's
These things aren't
Who's going to support it,
consoles.
and where will it function?
True.
Is my concern. So, I mean, PlayStation VR, okay, that's tied to a PS4.
Yes.
There's 42,000 or 42 million PS4s.
There's at least 40 million. We know that for fact.
Okay. 40 million of these PS4s exist that could all potentially run VR.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Did you know their first pre-order waves, they only did 1 million units? They were just going out really slow. It's like you have 40 million PS4s out there, and you're only going to make 1 million?
Yes.
There's only 1 million!
Yeah. Anyways, point
They're already
being,
long sold
okay,
out.
we have Oculus as the next step up.
Yep.
Which is supremely expensive. Okay. And then, of course, you have the Vive way up there, the price of your computer.
Was it $800?
Yeah.
Minimum?
Yeah. Minimum.
And that was like not including the controllers.
So my point is, okay, right now we currently have a wild market for VR. Okay.
It is the Wild West right now.
And do you think it's possible that Nintendo might be implementing VR into the NX?
I don't know if you got to hear these quotes, but there are some other quotes that Miyamoto did say about this year's E3 about
hear
VR.
I would like to hear it.
If I remember correctly, he said that he didn't want people to report on these. Like he asked, "Don't write that down, and don't quote me on that or something like that." But they did anyway because he did say it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a few quotes from him. I'm on Game Sutra right now.
Okay.
So they got a few quotes from Shigeru Miyamoto, okay, on virtual reality. He said, at this year's E3, I was on the show floor. I did not feel like VR was that big of a topic. That's just one of the things they pulled out. Okay. For VR particularly, we are continuing our research and looking into developing with a mind to how our current core products are meant to be played for relatively long periods of time. Okay, we're looking at the possibilities of providing an experience that gives value when I think I read that wrong. We're looking into possibilities of providing an experience that gives value when played for a short time and how to eliminate concerns about long-term use. Okay, so this could be because VR is not much to look at for a spectator. Even while it may be highly appreciated for the person actually experiencing it, it might also not be clear how this experience can be made into a product.
Okay, so he's actually reiterating some of the things that were said over here.
Yes. So, essentially what's going on is, he's going around, he's seeing him at this year's E3.
Right.
And saying that,
this is neat to have the last year and then the next year.
Exactly. So, kind of following up the same thing. I think that does speak to a fact that they're probably not. There's no way in the Inferno the NX is going to launch with a virtual reality headset. Right. I think they're speaking their mind on this. And the thing is that they're right. They're not wrong. And we need people like Nintendo to figure out how to make games for this thing. But they're like, nobody else is making games for this thing just yet, Yeah. And it doesn't seem like anybody knows how just yet. They know how to make some short burst mini games or experiences and that kind of thing.
Right.
And at that point, it is really not much more than just a piece of tech for experiences. And there's nothing wrong with that. Virtual reality has its place in the experience market for sure.
Right.
Which I think it's going to blow up in very soon.
Now, I just want to comment here.
Yes.
Knowing Nintendo, I mean, I've studied their history and everything, and I guarantee you, Nintendo is testing this in their own R&D departments, okay?
Yeah.
They are playing with VR. They are testing VR. Comments that I was just hearing from there is that they were saying that they're talking about how it's content that can be enjoyed in short bursts. They're worried about long-term content, not playing it too long.
Yeah, people get like headaches and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and of course, Nintendo has a level of quality that they want to stick to and maintain. Of course, with the 3D and children's eyes, they had the penalty thing where they had to say, nope, anyone under this age, you can't turn on the 3D. You can go to parental settings, disable it, and everything like that. For a product that is so variable to where you can't tell who's going to get nauseous from it, they can't guarantee that their product is for everyone.
It kind of it kind of reminds me. Nintendo has always reminded me of Apple. Apple, they really they are known for making new tech. Implementing in a new product and making it massively available for an affordable-ish price.
Yeah, yeah.
And Nintendo, I just don't believe that they're going to be making a virtual reality headset until these things are ironed out. Until these things are there's a standard one. You can go to the store, pick up, it's oh yeah, that one just works.
Right.
That is a proven piece of tech. And I don't think VR has that just yet. And maybe it's getting there with the HTC Vive and all that thing. But it's not at an affordable price for the average consumer.
Right.
So I think VR still has a ways to go, and I do not believe Nintendo's probably working on one for the NX.
Well, comments on the price, okay. Nintendo normally it never tries to compete, okay?
Yes.
And it knows that Nintendo is well aware there's a console war between Microsoft and Sony with the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now, Nintendo is always trying to play the side guy where it's you're going to go over and buy Nintendo anyway.
Yes.
Kind of thing. And
Exactly.
they're not trying to compete and get you to not buy it.
They do things differently, and that's what makes them awesome.
They do. But my point is that also kids are some of their biggest market, and if this thing is really, really expensive, if they wanted to throw in a VR headset, how cheap does the console have to be and then stack on a VR headset on top of that? That's not going to be cheap. And the thing is that they need to move units at launch because, as they were saying, it's they're starting with 0. They need to get their install base way up and stuff. You might think about the Kinect for the Xbox One, okay, where it just wasn't supported because no one had one anyway.
Yeah.
No one wanted one for one.
Yeah.
Okay. But the case that VR is a very, very hot topic, very much unlike the Kinect. Okay.
That's true.
So my point is that you could argue that by not releasing a VR headset, but maybe supporting one down the line, such as their own headset and releasing it later, they won't have an install base and won't be able to make games for it, and it won't be supported, and it'll just crash and burn.
Yeah.
There is an argument to be had there, and to be fair, I think Nintendo would be willing to take that risk, in all honesty, just to get the original console moving.
Yeah.
Unlike the Xbox One, where it came bundled with a Kinect, and you can only pay for that Kinect, and everyone knew it was $100 extra because it had that Kinect, and they wouldn't sell it without it.
Yeah.
Okay. Nintendo, if they sold it with this VR headset to just make sure everyone had it, that'd be a $450 console. I can only imagine minimum, and I'd imagine it'd be more expensive than that with the VR headset stacked on top of it.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine for the NX, they're going to try and keep it under $350. If they had a VR headset,
$350. I'm assuming $400.
$400 for the NX flat.
They're doing $400 for everything else. I mean, the Xbox One was basically $400.
Right.
I mean, if they can get it to $300, they're going to sell.
I'd say if you got it around there, okay, they'd be good. Throwing on a VR headset, there ain't no way they're getting it under $600 total for the whole bundle.
Yeah.
And that's just not the most affordable thing when it comes to Nintendo, and kids want the games and stuff. I think they're going to want to keep this cheap. They're going to want people to jump on this and make this their new home. So I think maybe Nintendo could consider supporting VR down the line. Maybe they'll make their own headset. It's definitely not coming at launch.
Honestly, I think VR headsets in general, that's going to be whatever Nintendo's next system would be. That would be the only chance that they're going to have a VR headset on it. And even then, we might not even have VR headsets. I mean, Nintendo might not have another console. They might go full mobile or some kind of mobile device that plugs into the TV via a dongle. Yeah. We don't know. Yeah. And then in that case, you might be able to pair it with a mobile VR headset instead.
And at that point, they'd be working with third party. I'd love it if they just make these VR headsets just accessible to everyone.
That's how they really should be. The VR headset shouldn't be looked at as a console. It's not a console.
Right.
It isn't. It's a peripheral. It's an attachment. It's a monitor.
Yeah.
You can't make it a dagnam console. And that's what the Oculus has been attempting to do with the Oculus Store and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And while it's one thing to crowd control, potentially poor apps from getting in and that kind of thing, flooding with terrible junk. Look at Steam. It's full of extra stuff.
Yeah.
Just full of extra stuff. And the Oculus tries to gate that so that they don't have to deal with that kind of thing by having its own market. And in doing that, it makes it seem like it's its own console itself. And I think that's a wrong way of looking at VR, and I think it's damaging Oculus's current
And
view.
and see, okay, the Vive is supported and backed by Steam.
Yes.
To be fair, but of course it's obscenely expensive for the average consumer. I would argue. That's why I'm so excited about PlayStation's VR. You know, I'm so excited. It's tied to a console. It's tied to a device.
Tied to a console we already have. Yes. I mean, sure, I have a PC, but I don't have $800 to throw down on a really fancy monitor like an HTC headset.
Right.
I don't even have $600 to throw down on it. Now I can probably throw about $400. It's at least within closer to my range, of affordability, and it'll just work. I don't have to worry about my graphics card taking a dump on me.
Right.
I don't know, but exciting times for VR, definitely.
Yeah. So if anything, that was the rumor. Rumor is Nintendo might be throwing in VR with the NX. I doubt it.
I think we both agree.
Yeah.
Not happening.